Welcome, my friends, to the Solid Signal podcast for the week of April 27th, 2015, and I want to apologize in advance because I'm a little bit cranky about the subject of this week's podcast, which is digital movies versus physical media. Now, we'd all like to start moving our video collections to digital, and for some of us, we've been through this before. We went from records to 8-tracks to cassettes to CDs to digital, and we went from VHS to DVD to Blu-ray, with some of us taking a detour in the middle to HD DVD. And every time it does get to be a little bit harder, especially if what you're doing is actually losing quality, not gaining it. Now let me tell you that I'm not one of those guys who is just crazy about my pristine vinyl collection and believes that somehow it sounds better than CD, and I'm not even one of those guys who believes that CD sounds better than compressed audio, because honestly, I've never really thought that way. I did think that Star Wars was better on Laserdisc than it was on VHS, but that's getting ahead of myself a little bit, and I'll explain in a minute. The thing is that every new change in technology, it's supposed to bring us something. And one thing that digital files bring us is convenience. I'm sure that many of us, myself are included, are old enough to remember when bringing more than 20 songs with us took, bringing a briefcase. And man, that was a pain in the neck. Now you can have 200,000 songs if you want it on, some sort of extremely small medium, and the mind boggles. And the truth is that the quality of compressed files really is no different, at least to my ear, than in the original CDs or even the vinyl that it came with. But when it comes to digital video, things are different. I spent a certain amount of money to get really good quality on my television, really good quality from my Blu-ray player, and I can see the difference. There's Blu-ray quality and there's not quite. And a really well-mastered Blu-ray is going to give you a sense of realism that you can't get elsewhere. Simple as that. And when it comes down to streaming, you can have new compression technologies, you can do a lot of stuff, but so far I've yet to see any streaming technology that rivals Blu-ray disc, and it's very simple why. Blu-ray disc, as it's been pointed out, can have a bandwidth between 40 and 50 megabits per second, and streaming is going to be about 6 to 8 megabits per second. And, new technologies notwithstanding, you're just losing quality somewhere. And this week, I had it demonstrated to me in a way that could have potentially hit my pocketbook. I had occasion to do a direct comparison between my Blu-ray versions of the Star Wars movies and the iTunes versions, not streaming. I wanted to be fair, and I wanted to actually use the downloaded versions, not the streaming versions, so if there were any quality difference due to low bandwidth, that it would be taken out. I compared Star Wars on DVD, Star Wars on Blu-ray, and Star Wars from the iTunes purchase. And to be fair, I used Star Wars Episode 3, the most recent of the films, and the one that was shot in the highest resolution digital, to try to get an idea that, the film grain wasn't going to be an issue, the mastering process wasn't going to be an issue. I wanted to make this as fair as possible. Star Wars on DVD can be bought for as little as $20 on eBay for all 6 films, and about $40 here and there if you're looking for it brand new. The Blu-ray edition will set you back $60 to $80, and the iTunes version for all 6 films will set you back about $90. I wasn't able to really get screen captures that showed the difference, so you'll just have to take my word for it. The iTunes versions were much, much more similar to the DVDs than they were to the Blu-rays. The color, the saturation, the level of detail were all much more consistent with DVD, even though these were supposedly high-definition masters. If you're paying 33% more than you're paying for Blu-ray, let's be honest here, folks, you're getting ripped off. And I found this to be the consistent issue with just about every digital version versus Blu-ray disc, the quality isn't that good. Even if you're not streaming it, even if you're playing it off your hard drive, it isn't that good. It's a little bit better than DVD and nowhere near as good as Blu-ray. Of course, there's the convenience factor, which really plays in if you're talking about movies for kids that you want to bring with you. Totally get that. But if you want to have a good experience on your TV, which is going to be large enough to show those kind of extras that Blu-ray disc really brings to the table, you still have to stay with physical media. Maybe in the future that won't be the case, but today it is. If you want to get that portable version, purchase a Blu-ray disc that includes digital copy. A lot of them do for just a couple of dollars more. Or purchase a combo Blu-ray DVD, and depending on your feeling on this sort of stuff, there are a number of programs out there that allow you to copy or rip the contents of a physical disc for your personal use. It's not completely clear how legal that is, and so I can't advocate it, but it's out there. And a one-time purchase of that kind of software is going to pay for itself over and over again if you're the kind of person who feels that that is appropriate and legal. It's disappointing, I have to say, and it makes me a little bit cranky and makes me feel like this is part of a bigger conspiracy. Why? Because at the same time that we're being given inferior copies of movies in digital format, we're being told that 4K is coming in. 4K is going to be this huge jump in quality. Well, if 4K is coming, and right now the only way to get 4K is streaming, what makes you think that 4K is even going to be as good as Blu-ray disc when it finally comes out? Right now, the two major suppliers of 4K content are DirecTV and Netflix. DirecTV's 4K is a little bit better, in my opinion, having seen both. Netflix is heavily dependent on your streaming situation, where DirecTV downloads in advance, and that kind of makes the difference. But even so, we're still not at that point where 4K content is going to blow you away if you're going to get it from a 25 megabit stream. Remember, Blu-ray in itself is a 40 to 50 megabit stream. That's not the only way to think about things, because compression technology can make those numbers a lot less apples to apples than you think. But quality is quality. And it seems like we're on the verge of another revolution where we're going to be asked to repurchase all of the movies and all of the music that we really like in order to accommodate a new supposed level of quality, when unfortunately that level of quality that we have already become accustomed to can't be gotten from streaming. We're really at the point where we were back in 1997 when DVDs came out, and they still weren't really as good as Laserdiscs. DVDs later surpassed Laserdisc, but that took a long time. In the meantime, my advice to you, stay away from the Star Wars digital movie collection unless you don't own a Blu-ray player. If you don't own a Blu-ray player, buy a Blu-ray player and enjoy those films that way. I'm glad I didn't lose my money, but I am thankful to the person who unfortunately did, so that I didn't have to.